Hey everybody, it's Martin. Does Bigfoot live in my backyard? I'm in my back office of my business. It's Saturday morning. I wanted to address uh, a few things that I said on my last video, which is titled Explanation Conversation. Uh, I called these folks, animals, and skunk ape. And I also went on to say they don't look like apes to me. Nothing ape-like about them, which would indicate that there's something else. Well, now speaking from my own observation, not anybody else that does this, I don't see an animal in the sense that we human beings normally think of an animal. I certainly don't see people as we human beings think of ourselves as people. And I certainly don't see an ape. The term skunk ape is traditionally what these folks have been called in Florida. I've been using that term for a long time. I've heard that term for a long time. And I'm sure occasionally it's going to come out of my mouth. I see these beings as something else. I'm not in the woo. I'm not talking about space invaders. My own observations tell me that they're not human as we are human. They're not animals as we normally think of animals. And they sure as hell aren't apes. So I'm just going to call them folks. I've called them that before. I'm going to try to make myself use only the term folks. Those folks, these folks, forest folks, whatever. Folks. Now, tomorrow morning, which will be Sunday, I'm going out in the state forest and I'm going to redocument all the signs and evidence that I have found in this one particular area of the state forest. I'm taking with me a scientist. He is a real legitimate scientist. He is a biologist. As a matter of fact, he teaches biology. He has 40 years experience in biology. He's one of those rare scientists that believes that there is a Sasquatch. That's an umbrella term in my mind for these folks. He has been on several investigations, not mine, with other folks, other people, humans. And he's going out with me tomorrow, and we're going to redocument the evidence that I have found in just this one particular area of the state forest. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not in other areas of the state forest. I haven't looked in other areas of the state forest yet. And as I said in my explanation conversation video, what I want to do is map this evidence, these tree bends and these glyphs and these stick leans and everything else that we find. Excuse the cough. I have a little allergy issue this morning. And I'm going to graph them on paper to create a map, because I don't believe this stuff is just random. I don't believe these folks are just wandering around out in the woods and at random creating something. I believe that there is formation here. I believe that this is a communication system that they use. And I believe if I create a topographical type map of where this sign is, and on that map what that particular sign is in that particular location, and then that can be laid down on a desktop and looked at as a map, that there will be a readable map. It will hopefully begin to make sense how these particular things relate to not only the area where we find them, but to each other. And perhaps that will aid in some understanding of who these folks are and why they do what they do. They are very strategic. They are very tactical. They are ninja level tactical. It amazes me. I've been involved in operations throughout my life. I haven't always been an old fat guy with a beard. And I see the strategy and the tactical application. But it's still unclear. And I think this mapping is going to help. It'll at least help me. Once I develop this map, I will, of course, post it. I'll have the video that we're going to make tomorrow up tomorrow afternoon, and I hope you stop by and look at it. And I hope it adds something to this community of researchers and investigators and people that are curious. I don't consider myself a researcher because I'm not a scientist. I think the best term for me is I'm a curious observer, perhaps an investigator. And I have the skill to recognize sign and I'm going to put this to use and see what happens. Well, that's it from the back office. Does Bigfoot live in my backyard? Well, yeah, he does. See you tomorrow.